All right, VGMCon, we're starting on time because I have a lot of things to talk about. Y'all ready to talk about some pinball? Some PGM. PGM is this room, VGM is out there. It can stay there. I get you for 1 hour. All right? It's a pretty amazing thing to know there's so much music in pinball that none of you guys know about. So that's why I'm here. So my name is Grant Henry. I go by Stemage when audio is involved. I've been in and have started a number of VGM bands in my time. VGMCon is like home. It's family and friends. It's home base. What a better chance. There could never be a better chance to indoctrinate you all than in this room right now. So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to blast through the history of pinball audio. Not the history of pinball. I'm not going to talk about the creation of the flipper. I'm not going to talk about like the decades-long ban on pinball in large U.S. cities, which a lot of people don't know about. That's all cool stuff. Go read about it. We're talking about audio specifically. I'm going to do that. I'm going to play DJ. I'm going to play you guys some rad tunes. I work on indie games. I work on TV, non-interactive media, and more recently pinball. My first pinball machine was Jersey Jack's Avatar, The Battle for Pandora, which came out in 2024. Radical. That's Blue People Avatar, not Arrow's Avatar, for anyone keeping score. Dances with Smurfs. So if we have a little time at the end, I'll talk a little bit about what it's like to put a sound package together for like a modern AAA, routed production licensed pinball machine. If we have time for that, we'll see if we get there. Sound good? Yep. All right, we're rolling. So France loved rolling balls into holes on the earth, on the ground. They love it. They took that game, they transferred it to a wooden plank with wooden pins and wooden balls. Bagatelle was formed. There's different versions of this game all over the world, and it was called Cockamaroo in Russia. And then Montague Redgrave created the shooter rod, the spring, and the bell. So the idea of pulling back the plunger, popping the marble around the outside of this like perfectly stained wooden box, hearing the ball phase in and out as it goes around the outside, plinking against the pins and landing in holes, hitting bells. Audio was a huge part of the pinball experience from the very beginning, way before electricity. But yeah, hands off the balls. This is it. This is the version of pinball we know, really, and that is like the beginning. That's like 1900, right? So David Gottlieb, in the late 20s, Gottlieb might sound familiar. He decided they needed to make these coin-operated because these were super popular in the bars. So Parlor Bagatelle is what it was called. And in 1931, Gottlieb released the first coin-operated pinball machine. It's pretty rad looking, called Baffle Ball. It was very in demand. This guy, Raymond Maloney, who was Gottlieb's distributor at the time, Gottlieb couldn't keep up with demand. Like there was no way to get these things, and these things were paying for themselves in one weekend in these bars. So he decided to make his own machine, and he was trying to figure out what to theme it. And it was wartime, so he took a lyric from a war song and called the game Ballyhoo. Called his company Bally. Might also sound familiar. And so some people think that the old 8-ball or Addams Family might be the most popular machine ever made, the most production. It's actually Ballyhoo. Tens of thousands of copies of this game got made. And then here comes Williams. Williams puts out Contact. Williams introduced electricity. Williams all about electricity. So now we've got magnetic coils, we've got solenoids, we've got pistons, we're hitting the sides of the machine, we're hitting balls, we're hitting bells, we have noise, we have chonk. People loved it. It had 3 times as many players as regular non-powered pinball. Chonk. Williams did a lot. Williams did a lot for pinball. You guys probably know that. Williams is it. So they did the whole chime system, normally 3 to 5 chimes to play some music. The knocker, the piston hitting the side of the machine to let the bartender know you got a free game. The tilt mechanism, because people were crazy and drunk. The idea of free play, retheming games. So this is a big. This still happens today, but the idea of taking a game that isn't as popular anymore, putting a brand new coat of paint on it to be relevant to what's going on, and putting it back out and making more money, all done by Williams. And then of course the bumpers. Back then they weren't knocking the balls around, but they were making noise and making people happy. And then, pinball was in fact banned. Early 1942 to 1974, pinball was banned in most major cities in this country. It wasn't until
gambling?
It wasn't, yes, because of gambling. Which they're kind of right, actually. Like this is pre-flipper, right? The flipper I think was invented like a year or two later after the ban. But yeah, LaGuardia, smashing pinball machines, tens of thousands of machines, gone. It's very sad. So even though it was banned, it still thrived, right? Like, right in the middle of this band, Tommy, the rock opera by The Who, was released in 1969. Musicians love pinball. Everybody loves pinball. And then in 1976, after the ban was lifted, Elton John released his pin, Captain Fantastic, and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. And this is what we're looking at this point. This is the amount of innovation over the course of however many years. We've got relays, we have motors, we have switches, we have gears, we have like spinning reels, all kinds of noises coming out of these machines. And you guys have probably played some chimers out there, but it sounded something like this.
Is that you playing?
Oh no, never. Full chunk there. Feels real good in the hands. Keep in mind, no circuit boards in this game at all. That's all series, and it's a brain. It's miles and miles of wire to make all that noise. It's wonderful. Also in 1976, we have Atari that brought the first solid state circuit board technology to pinball. We actually have circuit boards, we have chips. The first game with digital sound was the Atarians. I've never seen one in person. 1976, Generation 1 board, first digital sound. The same year as Breakout, just to put it in context of what was going on in arcades at the time. Here's a little bit of what the Atarians sounded like.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's great.
It looks like Gorgar, kind of.
Big wide body game.
Yeah.
Pretty rad, 76, not bad. And then here comes Gottlieb. Gottlieb puts the System 1 together, their first solid state platform. These were the first 3 games that they used it on. So what they had is all these machines they were building that were electromechanical. And because they knew how those worked, they would basically rebuild them again with solid state parts. They know how the game's supposed to function. These were the first 3 games that used that system. The first one with noise was Close Encounters of the Third Kind in 1978, and we have digital sound. Just think about the fact that these chimes are being replaced. So it's like 3 beeps replacing 3 chimes. Fast forward one more year, we got Gottlieb putting out the multi-sound soundboard. Not too many games with this. The turkey board, you'll probably see why it's called that. There's music. Music's happening. We have music. We have music now. Oh my gosh, Bally wanted to license everything. We got everything. We got music exists in pinball. Let's make a dolly machine. It's not Jolene, but it's a little early. Why not? Why not, DJ? That famous Kiss song. Pretty rad. A little early for music pins, but you got to get familiar faces on the art, right? Meanwhile, at Williams, they introduced the System 4. So, it's like you hit the ball, nothing's making noise when the ball isn't hitting something. Well, they introduced the drone with flash. So this is just this thing where it makes this drone while nothing's happening, and then as you get more points, the drone increases in pitch forever. So if you're a really good player, it's real, which, yes, indeed. So yeah, this is what that sounds like.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
A lot of companies did that. Not incredible, but hey, we've got a lot more sound than we did. And then we get Gorgar. Same year, System 6. Later in the year, we got Gorgar. We have the first pinball machine with speech. It talks. It says, Gorgar speaks, beat me, hurt you and got, it just made sentences out of that. You're just this weird evil demon you're fighting. So they could just make caveman talk and it worked fine. Cool thing about the background sound in this game is they did a heartbeat. Way cooler and way dire. It's a pretty dark game for 1979. Got you. Rad, Gorgar. 1980, we're in the 80s now. System 6, same machine. The first game with multi-ball, firepower, one of my all-time favorites. Fantastic game. And they're really learning how to utilize these chips. We have full space war at this point. Not quite musical, but we're here. Fire, 1, 2, 3. Crazy. And then, back at Bally, we got Suzanne Shiany, diva of the diode, killer composer. Suzanne and Wendy Carlos holding it down in the early 80s, late 70s. First women sound designer for pinball.
Welcome to Xenon.
Suzanne Shiany, electronic composer. She captures the indefinable and turns it into music.
I think to add excitement to the game, that the background sound should speed up as you play the game. Now I'm going to ask it to play and see what it does here.
Try a tube shot, guys. I will also say I'm showing a virtual pinball for some of this stuff because some of these machines are so rare. There's not really good footage of them where you can really hear with them. But we have Defender. There was a Defender pinball machine. It's very pretty. Has a lot in common with the game. And there's not a lot of them out there. But it's rad. I've never seen one in person, but I wish I could. And this may sound familiar if you're fans of Defender. How's the sound volume? Good. Sick. I'll turn it up. So let's jump 2 years. We're going 2 years to Sorcerer. We're flying, but this is how it's going. My brother's got one of these in his living room. This pinball machine was featured in the secret track of the Incubus Science album. We always heard all the noise and couldn't figure out what it was. And then eventually we realized, and then Adam found the Sorcerer. This is the end of an era. So this is very important how this game sounds. This is like peak sound design for this era of chip. Feel my power. Pretty sick. And then we're here.
It has 2 wheels and 2 sources of power. Goes from 0 to 192 in 1 shift and can take you places just standing still.
Racing car.
The Yamaha DX100 synthesizer. Anything's possible.
We have F-frickin'-M in pinball. We have music in pinball. We have the System 11. This is when it really kicked off. The Yamaha YM2151 chip. A lot of versions of this chip in different consoles. This is a version of this is what ended up in the Mega Drive. The reason some Genesis soundtracks are the worst thing you've ever heard and some are the best is because you not only had to compose, but you had to design the instruments that this chip used, which is why some people weren't as good at that as others. That's just how it worked. High Speed was technically the first game to use this, and High Speed is awesome, but High Speed is it was just a good first go. The first game to really use this chip, in my opinion, is Pinbot. Yeah. So just think about Sorcerer for a second. Think about that, what that was, and then this is 1986. We control the universe. Williams is killing it, and here comes Gottlieb. Gottlieb's like, well, we're doing this too. They developed a System 80B, not the Yamaha chip. It was a General Instrument AY38912 chip. It's similar in concept, very different palette, but here's a little sample of Genesis. So we got vibes, we can match the art, we can create a bit more of a world under glass, as they say in pinball. We're jumping to Victory. This is 1987. This is getting to be my favorite era of pin music. This FM window for Gottlieb was they were just on it. This is Victory from 1987 by Dave Zabriskie. Dave went to town. Now when your Goron song, we'll do this next year. Sweet, you can race to that, right? Then we have Data East. Data East got into pinball, and they had a great run, but they did one thing. No one talks about this. They did one thing no other pinball company did until 2015, and that was stereo sound. Data East did stereo sound in 1987. It's coming just, from the front, 2 speakers, but if you play an old Data East machine, you feel enveloped. It made a huge difference, a lot of ping ponging, it was awesome. This is Laser War, this was my first machine, this game rules. David Thiel, incredible composer. We don't have enough space in memory yet to have lots and lots of samples. So what David would do is write songs or incorporate songs and then do karaoke during the score count. So this is just an example. A buddy of mine in town recorded him doing this and sang along, and I thought it was funny, but you'll see what I mean here in a second.
You win! I win! Return to base, you're fighting a laser war.
Boom, 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 boom. 1 year later, Secret Service, an unlicensed Bond thing, and this one may sound more familiar. Nice job, David. Another year, we're back at Bally. So, Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you guys have heard the soundtrack for this, but it's really weird. And there's this cool Facebook group called Hidden Sound Test, where people post rare hidden gems and VGM and stuff like that. And I posted about this trying to figure out what the hell this was. And Brian Schmidt, composer for Black Knight 2000 and stuff, ended up showing up in that chat. JMR, I think, was in there too, trying to figure out what the hell this machine is doing. And what it basically ends up is it's a dedicated Motorola 68000 for sound. It's basically a sample player. So people would load sounds into memory and then play them, literally just playing samples. But it's a really low sample rate, really low, no high-end roll-off or anything, and it's super crunchy. And this is Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, the heads move for this one. else are we doing with this board? We're doing Heavy Metal Meltdown. Arcadia wants one of these, but if it ends up in your house, I don't think Liz is ever going to forgive you for this. We'll watch it one more time. Just kidding. So then there's Robo War. So still System 80B, same chip, Dave Zabriskie. Robo War is one of my all-time favorites. It's a 4-minute loop in this game. You could do that back then when it was all data. This is basically a take on Holst planets. It's Mars. It's a Mars arrangement that goes into this like proggy space opera thing. I feel like there's some Vince DiCola inspiration in here too. I'm not gonna play the whole track. I'll play about a minute worth cut around, but it's just this adventure. And if you ever see a Robo War, put money in it. Polyrhythm at the beginning. You hear the Vince DiCola in there? Oh, okay. There's another bit. Here's more. What the hell, right? So, when you play these old games, when you get the sound effects happening during gameplay, it's removing voices from the music. So, playing the game, you don't get all of that, but you get more, but it's different. It's really cool people have ripped this stuff to put on the internet because it's not gonna sound just like that when you're playing. That's Robo War. We're back at Williams. We got Taxi, Chris Grainer, the Tim Fallon of the Pen World. I thought of that 15 minutes ago. I think that's pretty accurate. And he did really interesting things with his sound design. So like for you guitar players out there, he does this thing with the chip where he makes it sound like guitar dead picking, which I think is really incredible. You'll hear this. That's what it sounds like when you are taking Marilyn Monroe and Gorbachev and Penbot and Dracula and Santa to the airport. Then we got Black Knight 2000. This has been memed since forever. This is one that has gotten out into the world. I put this in here. Of course, it's an incredible composition. Brian Schmidt, Dan Forden, Ed Boon from Mortal Kombat program Taxi, by the way. Bally Williams Midway, Balliams. That's what I just said. Dan Forden, composer of Mortal Kombat as well. And I included this because it's just a really cool combination of FM and samples, because they had a little more memory to put like a choir in here along with the FM. Pretty great. Roller Games, another example of really good samples overlaid with FM. Roller Games was a television show. I didn't see it. I don't know how long it lasted, but it was on TV, and it had an NES game, and it had a pinball machine, and the pinball machine's great.
Hey everybody, it's time for roller games. Are you ready?
I sure am. So we're doing a lot. We can actually make music now. Let's get the licensing going, right? We need to get some real music, get some covers in these machines. So a little montage of some licensed music, some not licensed implementations of music and pins. Also, the first two tracks here it's a Data East game, Lethal Weapon 3. I don't know what the stereo spread is in here, but you can tell when pin music is in stereo. Pretty rad. White Water, 93. The end of another era, a very important pinball machine, this one. This has got about 35 minutes of music in it that you wouldn't even know because of how things layer. Chris Granner, again, just absolutely killing it. White Water rules. What are you smoking? DCS, new tech, 93, digital compression system. This was a 32 kilohertz audio, mono, low pass filter at about 8 kilohertz. If you do audio production, you know you're losing a lot, That's a pretty big roll off there. And now we're done with the 4-minute pulsed loops. We're really relegated to 30-second samples. That's all the music you could do. Luckily, we had amazing composers that can write a 30-second loop that doesn't get old over 30 years. Does everyone take advantage of this? I don't know. We've got Williams, we've got Bally, and we've got Gottlieb. Williams, probably.
Indiana Jones marks the debut of Williams' DCS sound system. All of the game audio you'll hear on this tape was played by the new DCS board. DCS is a 4-track digital compression system that for the first time brings symphonic, high-quality scores and sound effects to the world of coin-op.
Yes. Williams in. Bally?
Judge Dredd is the first Bally game to use the new DCS soundboard. This audio breakthrough offers digital CD quality music and sound effects, creating a new sensory experience.
CD quality. Close.
CD quality. Chalky ass CD player.
12 kilohertz off.
Gottlieb on board. In your face. I mean, so Gottlieb started it all, really. You know, Gottlieb innovated for a long time. Some of my favorite soundtracks from the 80s. Gottlieb, this is when things started to not happen anymore for Gottlieb. They didn't make machines too much longer after this, which is unfortunate. But yeah, they didn't get on board with DCS. No offense to Shack Attack. That was rad. And I like high end. I like frequencies above 8K. I'm just saying. But. So now we're in this territory. We're in everyone's really favorite sort of era of pinball. But you can tell there is this roll. I keep saying it, but the roll off, the 8K roll off. It's a different. I wish we could unearth the masters for some of this music. But this is a little music from Dan Forden, again, a Mortal Kombat composer for Attack from Mars. Full cinematic. I mean, we're telling a story now.
It's just PCM at that point?
It's just PCM, basically, yeah. And so, yeah, Scared Stiff, same thing, absolute cinematic. Glad that Elvira could have her second machine have audio like this in it. People are still in the arcades. We're still putting money in these machines. We're still going. 97. Love No Good Gophers. Vince Pontarelli, the rocker. You could tell it's 97. You could tell the guy likes Satriani and like Eric Johnson and Steve Morse. It's very clear if any of you know any of the music from this era. Sick. Circus Voltaire, again, another Dave Zabriskie jam. You look at this art and you think about what music you might make for it, and this is what this art sounds like. Also, it's the 90s. Oh, we got Monster Bash. You know, you have to collect the Universal Monsters to get the band back together to play for the reunion. You got Mosh Pit Multi-Ball. What better? Is there a better theme in pinball? I think not. Another little jam from Vince. Pinball's real. You hear that 8K, you hear the 8K thing, you hear the lack of Christmas. It's not like a massive disappointment because look at what we're doing, but we're not quite where games are at this point. Definitely not CD quality. But we hit 1999. Sales of pinball dropped 75% from 10 to 20K units a year to less than 5. Everyone's gone. Williams' new platform failed. Everyone's out except for Stern. I know I didn't cover a lot of Stern. Stern did a lot too, but you know, Stern rules. But Stern kept pinball going. Stern's the reason we're here talking about this now. So yeah, Stern hung on. In the 2000s, Stern produced a total of about 10K per year, kept it going, slurped up everyone else's business, kept a lot of people employed in Chicago. They had a White Star system, which is pretty much the like parody with the WPC stuff that Williams had. And so, yeah, in 2006, we had another change in audio. This is one of my least favorite changes where we're almost there. Not quite CD quality, but it's in mono. We're still in mono. There's still no stereo sound in pinball, and it's 2006. 24 kilohertz sample rate, not as bad. That's when they put out a lot of music pins. The AC/DC was on this platform. Tron Legacy was on this platform. Not in stereo. Used this for 10 years. And you know, did great for Stern. All these games were released on this system. A lot of favorites, right? Great systems. Not quite CD quality. And then 2015, Spike came along. I think it was like Walking Dead might have been the first Spike game. But when they changed from that red dot matrix display to the LCD screen, that's when they had to have a new platform. And they did finally upgrade audio. So we are caught up to video games in terms of fidelity. Stereo, high def, subwoofer, headphone jacks. We're there. We've made it. Took a while. And every machine made by Stern is a variation of that system. So now we're in the age of branding. Most pinballs associated with movies, TV shows, all kinds of stuff. You've probably heard of some of these words. They all have pinball machines. It's rare to see an original theme, which is too bad, but it's a riskier choice. As of 2015, we're on par with video games, which is nice. So that's what's happening in manufacturing. But what are the people doing? Well, pin sound is one thing people are doing. You can install this board into most any like semi-modern pinball machine to replace all the sound with whatever you want. If you want to rescore a pinball machine and put that soundtrack in your game, you can. Here's an example of what T2 sounds like before and after this board gets put in it.
Judgment Day. Now, pull the trigger.
Pretty sick. I mean, some may prefer the old style, but you get a choice. You put a little switch on there. You do whatever you want. You know, if kids want to rock out, let them rock out. They don't like the chip sounds, don't let them play pinball. We got homebrew stuff happening. There's like people building their own machines. You buy kits. You put all that high voltage in there. And be careful. And there's like homebrew areas of Pinball Expo. It's a thing. Some people have developed these little daughter boards you can install in really, really old machines to kind of breathe new life into not only the audio but the rules. So this is a Galaxy and a Meteor. So you want to just give your old game a ball save because they didn't exist. You can do that. You can change rules. You can build a new game out of that game. This is an example of what people have done with just free parts and some programming.
Complete mission with Galaxy turnaround. Record shows.
Pretty good spinner sound. Meteor, the same thing. Look at the lights. That's not normal. So if I find an old machine from 1979 that's all beat to hell and I want to like retheme it and make art and make my Dawn of the Dead pinball machine and like put a Goblin soundtrack in there, like I can do that. You could do that if you wanted to.
Dude, the drone of the
Homebrew led to Avatar. Homebrew led to me getting to work on this game. Homebrew, so Mark Seiden was building a Metroid pinball machine, a real one with flippers and CNC layout and all this stuff, and I was cutting up Metroid Metal loops for him and did a little bit of sound design. My wife did some call outs for it, power bomb, like all that stuff. And so then he got poached by Jersey Jack Pinball. And I was like, well, that was fun working on Metroid. You're gonna be busy now. And he hit me up about a year later and he's like, would you actually be interested in doing audio on a production pinball machine? I'm like, well, yes, please. So yeah, that's how I got the gig working on Avatar. And I can't remember if I put I think there's some sound in here. There is. you for humoring me. You're never going to hear that music unless you find the machine. There's no OST for sale for that thing. So if you want to hear the 35 minutes of Avatar, go find one, bring your headphones. That's where you're going to hear it. Just to speak a little bit to that, people who mix audio might be interested to know that, you know that when you mix a record, you listen to it on your monitors and your headphones and your earbuds and your Bluetooth speakers in your car and your home theater and every crappy place possible. With a pinball machine, you're really only mixing for one setup. It's like whatever's in the back box. It's that brand, that model audio system. People are going to plug their headphones in if there's a jack, but it's fascinating to use that as not almost using it as your monitors, like a whitewood cab with a barely functional playfield. But it was a really cool experience. It was challenging. Like aping Horner's music is not easy. So we just started with the theme, and then we just sort of went off on a direction. And I made a case to Disney that I wanted multi-ball to rock a little more. Like multi-ball is the battles are intense, and I was like, I just want to put like a trap kit and a little distortion and make it sound like Within Temptation. I just want a little Euro power metal in there, and they bought it, so that's rad. Yes, it's our world under glass. So that's it. I will say, thank you so much. Everyone always says the same thing. They're like, I suck at pinball. Like, I suck at video games, but I still love video games. It's not about the first dollar you put in. It's about the second dollar. Like, give it one more go. I think you'll be surprised how sucked in you get. This is super fun. I hope you could understand what I said. I flew through this a bit faster than I had intended, but I'm here for any questions if you have any. If you don't, that's cool too. Yeah.
Can you play that heavy metal video again?
Thought you'd never ask. Attack from Mars. AK. Yeah. It's even louder in person. What's the point? Adam, can you do that when we cover this? Okay. Yeah. Heavy metal meltdown. Yes. So thank you all for humoring me. Hope you heard something rad in here. There's a whole lot more killer pen music, and it's all over YouTube. If you can't find a machine around you, a lot of these old '80s ones are in basements, being kept away from children who spill Pepsis on them. But they're around. So Lit Pinball Bar is fantastic in town if anyone wants to get some pin going. Oh, Avatar's there? Yeah. Head over to Lit Pinball Bar and play my shit, guys.
I would suggest anyone who wants to get into pinball and gets frustrated by losing credits, Arabian Nights is one of the best per dollar what you get for your order.
Find a Tales of the Arabian Nights and play that game.
Because it's easy to keep your credit going.
Yeah. Easy game, easy ball to keep alive.
With great sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sitar.
Are you working on any more pinball?
I am. Yeah. That's it. Yes. Nice Headlander shirt, by the way. Hell yeah. Yes, I'm doing more pen music. I'm really excited about it. So more on that as it develops. Any other questions?
Are you going to compose for FM?
Hell no. I'm just going to admire it from afar, like the X Games. You know what I mean? No FM for me. Any other questions? Heavy metal again? You want to play it again?
I already got it.
Okay, good.
No, but with like pinball effects and Zen Studios and all that stuff, have you seen like an uptick in pinball popularity again?
Yeah, 100%. I know Mel Kirk, who works at Zen, he talks about that. Like they've tried to. They now have Williams tables that they're doing digital versions of and everything, and it really does sort of. It has sort of caused new interest in the hobby. I think the combination of Zen's creating their own tables and also doing Williams, like putting Williams licensed tables and those together, makes people realize there are real tables that are fun too. They don't have dragons flying around in VR, but like they're real. And yeah, so it's definitely helping. So yeah, they're doing good work.
Like, serious question. What's your opinion of composing for a room of pinball machines that are all competing?
What is my thought on competing, on scoring audio? Yeah, putting audio in a pinball machine when you're literally competing against the din of a MagFest arcade. Yeah, I mean, there really isn't much you can do there in terms of the sound design. You don't want to like design something that is unattractive, super mid-heavy to cut through when you may be at home. They have, all these new machines have EQ settings, and they have a lot of presets, and some of them are things like, I want to turn the machine really loud. Some are things like arcade, which sort of puts like a little curve on it just to kind of project a little more. But in the end, all the machines are trying to do that. So headphones, baby. People locking in at tournaments, they got fingerless gloves and headphones, and they're just in, and they're like, no one else is around. Good question. Any other questions?
Yeah, how do you, I know we talked a lot about the music, but how do you like compose around the sound effects? Do you create them yourself?
Yes, so yeah, the question is how do I go on composing for this, and then how sound effects are incorporated. It's so much like just game development. It's about finding like, all these machines have their own sort of proprietary audio system. None of them are using like Fmod or Wise or anything, but it's something similar to that. You can control lots of like ducking parameters and the relationship between the call outs and the voices versus sound effects, what ducks what. So it's a lot, I would say it's almost as much work to find the balance as it is just to make sounds that make sense. But it's just a balance like anything else. The music needs to sit here, the sounds need to be here or wherever, and then it's just a matter of the volume relationship between everything. And it's very similar to what you would do for a game. So, yeah. Yeah.
Now that you're at parity, what keeps pinball sounds distinct from other music?
Other music or other
Video game music,
yeah.
or scores for a movie, etc.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's a great question. I think like, I'm trying to think if there are examples of challenges that a pinball composer might have that a video game composer might not have. And I think the most difficult part is finding out what kind of, you hear the loops of music in pinball a lot more than you do in video games, I think. You might spend a time in an area of a game and then go to a different area and hear different music. Pinball's not really like that at all. Sometimes it's just a matter of dialing it back. I like, notes matter to me, melodies matter to me, and I had to like stop thinking like that when designing for a pinball machine. I had to pull it back so you really don't notice the loop. You really aren't getting a motif stuck. It's more of like, unless there's a moment for that, but like the main play music doesn't need to be something that you hear the loop of too much. One, because it can get in the way of the sound design, but two, because it gets freaking old. Like, these machines are made, they're complicated, they have deep rule sets, they're made to be played forever. They have achievements in them now. So people are putting these in their basement, and you don't want the music to get old. So I think that is even a bigger challenge than you might have in games, where music can change more often. So, yeah.
Working with the mechanical design of the machine, are you kind of given this is the mechanics of the machine, make music to it, or are you kind of working back and forth with the developers like that? Like,
it's very, so the question is like, am I getting like a schematic and information about the game when I'm getting started, or do they just sort of hand it to me and then I'm throwing music over the fence, or is it a bit more of like a collaborative effort with them? And it is very organic. Sometimes we know some things we have to do, and sometimes it's just about getting temporary voice calls or temporary sounds in the game just to get things rolling. And then you learn that all your sound effects need to be shorter, and you learn that, oh, we've changed, this mode doesn't even work the same way, so none of these things matter. There's all these things, the relationship of all the ramps and the orbits. Like, there's a switch that goes in the orbit, a switch that comes out. You have to make two sounds work in and out. But if you fail, it comes back out this way, and that's a whole different, event in pinball. But yeah, it's very organic, and it's very much a back and forth with the dev team, just like it would be for a game. So, yeah. That's it. We got one more? Sick. Oh, one more?
Quick two-parter. One, you said you're married.
Yes, at the moment, yes.
Any chance you're single?
I don't know. What stays at PGM room? Yeah.
Your first pinball memory?
Yeah, well, it's one of two. One was either, we were at the beach, and I remember playing, it was either, I don't know which was first, but there was a Cyclone and a High Speed. Those were the two games. Both were sand ravaged from the beach, but they were so cool. Revving the car when you start High Speed and seeing the lights go up. I don't know, probably like 7. something like that. But yeah, Cyclone, amazing game as well. But that era, that mid-'80s era, is definitely mine. All right, I'm out. Thank you all. Thank you all.